Joining us today is a former Protestant minister, now Catholic, Professor Scotta Hahn.
What I do plan to share, first of all, is how it is that I came about to become a Roman Catholic. It was the last thing on earth I ever planned to be. And if somebody had said to me 10 years ago, 10 years from tonight, you will be speaking to a Roman Catholic parish in Riverside, California about why you became a Roman Catholic, I would have been in the hospital with broken ribs from my laughter. It was something that was just simply inconceivable. But like so many, I had many misconceptions about the Roman Catholic Church that were deep and profound but curable. Archbishop Fulton Sheen once said, not 100 in the United States hate the Roman Catholic Church, but millions hate what they mistakenly think the Roman Catholic Church is. That's a key distinction. You'd be amazed how few people really understand the Roman Catholic Church and then hate what they properly understand. I'm not even sure it would be 100. My own background is, well, I grew up in a nominal Protestant family. We didn't go to church very often, and all I remember from my boyhood was trying to skip out of Sunday school. Whenever my parents would drop me off with my sister, they would go back home, and so my sister and I might go to the mall or do something or other. They caught on that we weren't interested, so we didn't go very often. But by the time I was an early teenager, I was not at all interested in the church, and I was very interested in the world. I wound up in juvenile court with a long list of charges held against me. Only a few of the things I had actually done I was caught for, but I was staring at a very real prospect of a year and a half in a detention center, and I knew, even if my friends didn't, that things had to change because my life was headed down fast, and I was out of control. At that time, a man came into my life. I'm sure he was sent by God. We'll call him Jack. And Jack was studying at the University of Pittsburgh, and he was working in a parachurch Protestant ministry. Parachurch means it's not part of any denomination. It was just basically a ministry reaching out to troubled kids and the kids who were unchurched. And Jack used to show up at our high school and talk to us and, shoot baskets after school and come to football games and just hang out, get to know us. And we all knew that he worked with this organization called Young Life, and they had these meetings once a week, and none of us went to them. But anyway, one day I heard through the grapevine that at these meetings there was a tremendous guitar player. So I asked Jack one day when I saw him in school about this, and he said, sure, you ought to come out and meet Walt. And at the time I was getting into guitar. It was almost a religion for me. It was helping me to get out of trouble with the law, so I had some constructive pursuits. And I wound up one night at this meeting, partially because of the guitarist, partially because this cute girl I was hustling also happened to go to Young Life meetings once a week. So my motives are never altogether pure. But I got to know Walt. I came back week after week, and Jack challenged all of us who were coming with the gospel message as he understood it, and that is, we're sinners, and we're in need of salvation, and Christ died for our sins. And we have to make a choice with regard to that fact. And so after a period of time where I examined the facts, the claims, the scriptures, and so on, I made that commitment. You've all heard about it. You can't live out in California and not hear about it. When you ask Jesus Christ into your heart as personal Lord and Savior. That's the standard Protestant line, and there's something profoundly right about it, even if it's inadequate from a Catholic perspective. If you're ever asked by a Protestant, are you born again? You should say, of course I am. What do you mean by it? If they say, have you accepted Jesus Christ into your heart as personal Lord and Savior? You should say, yes, of course I have. And I've also accepted onto my tongue and down my throat and into my tummy as personal Lord and Savior, body and blood, soul and divinity as well. But that's not why I was born again. I was born again because I was baptized. In other words, you can always build on the partial truths and insights that our separated brothers and sisters have. There's no need to feel fear. There's no need to be threatened by it. You can always find something that you can build on. At any rate, Jack taught me Scripture. I was in high school. He was moving on into seminary, and I used to go down to some seminary classrooms as a senior in high school. And I remember deciding that the historical figure in the history of Christianity that was most important to me, because he was the one that Jack always talked about, was this man named Martin Luther. And so I asked Miss Dengler one day, can I do my senior research paper on Martin Luther and sola fide? She said, sola, well, what? I said, well, don't you know that's the material principle of the Reformation? That is justification by faith alone versus Roman Catholic legalism. She said, fine, you can do it on whatever you want. So I went home and I devoured book after book on Martin Luther. And I wrote a senior research paper with a great deal of intensity and enthusiasm, got an A on it. And I talked to all my friends all about not only the gospel and the scriptures that I was studying, but also about this man named Martin Luther. In fact, the first serious theology book I ever read was a book of his, Bondage of the Will, a work he considered to be his most important. Anyway, I was graduating from high school, and I was dating a girl very seriously, getting ready to go on to college. She was a Catholic. And we got to be close friends. I played guitar in a band. I got her to be the piano player. And we got to be close and closer, and we were talking marriage. And I knew I couldn't marry a Roman Catholic, so I gave her the Bible of anti-Catholicism. I don't know if you've ever seen it or you've heard of it. It's by a man named Lorraine Bettner. It's called Roman Catholicism. It's a big fat book filled with errors. But I didn't know it at the time, and so I gave it to her, and I gave it to some other friends of mine who were Roman Catholic. And while I was away one summer, she wrote me a letter. She said, thanks for the book. I'll never go back to Mass again. And I really thank God for allowing me to be used as His servant in that way, with all sincerity and blindness. At any rate, at around the same time in my life, another crisis hit that was closely associated with the Roman Catholic Church. My dearly beloved grandmother, and I mean dear, she was a kindly lady in her 80s, very quiet, very humble, but also holy. My dad used to tell us all stories about how when he was a boy, the family would go on vacations down to South Carolina or Florida, and they would always go to side roads because his mother insisted on it, and they'd always pack an extra picnic basket or two so that when they're going through the towns on the side roads, if she saw any little hungry children, they'd pull the car over and they'd give to the child some food to take home to his family. He said, I remember this every summer, my mom doing that. And that was the kind of grandmother I had, very quiet, humble, and holy. And I think she's hearing me tonight. But she died when I was getting out of high school. And I remember going over to her home with my father and with my brother, going through her possessions and finding her prayer book and this missal. And I looked through it and I thought, oh God, please, I hope this superstitious nonsense didn't really trap her soul. And I looked at all the stuff on Mary and the saints and whatnot, and I had been trained to regard all of this as just superstition, as excess baggage that humans invented and just added to complicate a very simple saving gospel. So I took the stuff, without my father knowing it, and I just shredded it. Self-righteously perhaps, but sincerely. And I found her rosary beads, both sets of rosary beads, and I remember thinking, oh, she's finally delivered of these things, and I broke them apart. It's hard for me to talk about this right now, because I consider her to be a humble and holy woman, but I say it because it might help you understand what Protestants think, especially the evangelicals, the fundamentalists, the charismatics out there, who look at Roman Catholicism and simply don't understand it. And if they think they do, they usually oppose it with considerable energy, like I did. So here I was, out of high school, getting ready to go into college, very anti-Catholic. Not in a bigoted sense, although I knew some people who were, but my best friends in high school were all Catholic, the ones who drank the most and swore the most. But I wasn't anti-Catholic for any cultural reasons. It was theological. It was scriptural. I just saw it as being opposed, quite frankly, to sacred Scripture. So I went through college and I decided to go into the ministry. And I chose a seminary up in the Boston area, and I got married right out of college. And my wife and I both went to seminary. She got her master's degree in theology as well as me, but she got her 2 years degree, which is not ordainable, and I got a 3-year master's of divinity to prepare for the pastorate. When I was at the seminary, Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, it is located on the grounds of a former Carmelite seminary that they purchased because they couldn't find enough vocations. They closed down in the early 70s. When I was there, I refined my anti-Catholic instincts. I made them, in a certain sense, more intellectually solid. I became, well, I'm an intense person, and so I became somewhat well known on campus for being very Calvinistic, very Presbyterian, and also very anti-Catholic. I was one person, along with my best friend. The two of us were the only ones in the Presbyterian Fellowship of Seminary students who wanted the Presbyterian Church to go back to the old, original Westminster Confession, because the old original standard called the Catholic Church Antichrist, and we felt that it was a sort of compromise to delete that. And so that was the kind of thing we were about. The reason I mention that, and the reason I bring up my best friend from seminary, is because both of us are now Catholics. He tried to stop me. More on that later. At any rate, in 3 years' time, I graduated at the top of my class. I was very high-powered, energetic. I had formed this a group of Calvinist Presbyterian students. We called it the Geneva Academy, after Calvin's school in Geneva. And we used to get together once a week for breakfast for a couple hours to talk over theology, discuss Scripture, to invite professors and to cross-examine them on their views and whatnot. Great time of fellowship. And I became fast friends with about a half a dozen to maybe 10 students that I've kept close contacts with now over the last few years. I graduated in 1982, as I mentioned, at the top of my class. But something happened my last year at seminary. It began a little bit before my last year, because my second year of seminary, my wife did something very strange. She took this course in Christian ethics, taught by a professor who was very, very brilliant, and he divided up the class into various sections. One section would investigate capital punishment, another section would investigate nuclear war, then over here abortion, and then he had one section investigate birth control. I thought, why birth control? I mean, birth control is not an issue for Protestants, you know. And my wife came home and said, guess what section I signed up for? And I said, don't tell me it was birth control. Yeah, birth control. All the other sections were filled, and so I was put in this. Signed up for it. And so anyway, she began to work with 2 or 3 of my good friends who were in the same class in that same little small group. And a few days went by, and she said, you know, I've never even heard the arguments against birth control. I said, well, fine. I mean, what does it matter? A week later, she said, you know, the arguments are strong. A week and a half goes by. She goes, I'm almost tempted. You know, 2 weeks later, she's preparing for her in-class presentation. She's the only woman in the class, and she's going to present her view to all of these male seminarians. And then she announced to me, I've changed my mind. I said, as long as it's just your mind and not our practice, huh? And she said, no, we'll talk on that later after the presentation. Anyway, within the next 2 days, 3 of my friends came up to me and said, your wife's presentation was brilliant. We've all changed our minds. I said, I've got to hear it. So she shared it with me, and sure enough, our second year in seminary, both of us came to accept perhaps the one doctrine that otherwise solid Catholics have the most difficulty accepting. You know, it was sort of ironic. You know, I thought, well, for once, you know, the Roman Catholic Church got it right. You know, even a blind hog finds an acorn sometimes. You know,